Welcome to the College Admissions Collaborative Highlighting Engineering and Technology College Fair. We're so excited to have you participating in this event. We have some fantastic schools here with us today. My name is Nashira, and I will be your facilitator. Before we get started, a few housekeeping items. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. This is just one of many different sessions happening, so be sure to check out the schedule on the website. This presentation is being recorded and will be available at strivescan.com/CACHET. I'd now like to turn it over to our presenter, Rochester Institute of Technology.
Thank you so much, Nashira. Appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and hopefully everybody can see that. So just wanted to say hello and thank you so much for joining me tonight. My name is Mariah McLean Giardino. I am Associate Director of Undergraduate Admissions at RIT, or Rochester Institute of Technology. I've worked at RIT for just about 12 years. My main territory is actually the Mid-Atlantic. So I recruit students in DC, Maryland, Virginia, and also Manhattan. So if I am your admissions counselor, I look forward to working with you, but you are certainly welcome to reach out to me and I can connect you with my colleague if I am not your admissions counselor. Happy to work with you regardless. Of course, I would prefer to be meeting with students in person, but yeah, I'd like to thank StriveScan for offering us this opportunity to connect virtually. And I just hope to provide you with some helpful information about RIT from across the screen. So we'll go ahead and get started. I want to begin with an overview of RIT and all the academic opportunities that we have available. Of course, we are an Institute of Technology. We have the word technology in our name, but we definitely have a lot beyond that to offer, and I'll share that with you tonight. RIT's main campus is in Rochester, New York. We are home to more than 16,800 students, and that's about approximately 14,000 undergraduates. So we are largely an undergrad focused community. We also have something unique about us, that is our international campuses. Our satellite campuses are overseas in Croatia, Dubai, Kosovo, and China. So if you count the overseas campuses, our total enrollment is going to be over 19,000. So that does make us one of the largest private universities in the country. Students are coming from all 50 states and about 90 different countries. So we have about 1,900 international students with us and 3,600 students of color. Something very unique about us is our School for Deaf and Hard of Hearing students on campus. That's called the National Technical Institute for the Deaf, or NTID. And you'll really frequently see people using American Sign Language on campus. We also have interpreters and closed captionists, which are used in our classes and at all of our events. So we're happy to have about 970 deaf or hard of hearing students at RIT through the program at NTID. So I did mention that we're a larger school, but just so you know, the average class size is 22 and our student to faculty ratio is about 13:1. One thing I would like to point out is that all classes at RIT will be faculty taught. So while we do have graduate and teaching assistants there in the classrooms, they're just there to help the professors, but they won't be the ones facilitating classes or teaching any kind of new material. So now I'd like to talk about academics. So it may surprise you to learn at an Institute of Technology that we are home to 9 academic colleges, including NTID. We have more than 90 bachelor's degree programs. So a little bit of everything, as you can hopefully see from this slide, everything from the STEM disciplines that you might expect, such as engineering, science, computing, game design, computing security, health science programs like physician assistant and diagnostic medical sonography, and engineering technology. So those are some of our STEM disciplines that we have to offer, but it's great to know that we also have colleges of business, liberal arts, and art and design. So you can come to an Institute of Technology and study something like photography or film and animation, art or design, or even one of our programs in the liberal arts like psychology or criminal justice or public policy. Then we also have a great business school at RIT that is getting newly renovated. So you can also come and study something like finance or accounting or marketing in our business school if you would like. So hopefully you've seen it's a nice variety of both STEM and non-STEM options. Really allows RIT students to create some nice combinations of majors and minors, also double majors, accelerated dual degrees where you can get a bachelor's and a master's in an accelerated amount of time. We even have a school of individualized study where you could design your own unique program based on your interest. So a lot of opportunities to customize your particular fields of study at RIT. Now I'm going to move on and talk about something that is very important to the RIT education philosophy, and that's going to be called experiential learning. If you have not heard of the term experiential learning before, just think of it as hands-on, career-focused education. So at RIT, we really believe that students do or learn best by doing. So outside of the classroom, we are happy to engage you in activities like research at the undergraduate level. That's available as early as the freshman year if you would like. We also have study abroad. There's clinical rotations that are through our health sciences programs like physician assistant. And of course, we offer internships like many other colleges. Something that we are best known for, however, and I'm going to spend a couple of slides talking about this, is our cooperative education program, or CoOp for short, as I'll call it going forward. If you are not familiar with the term co-op, you can think of it like a form of internship. So internships can be sometimes paid, sometimes unpaid, sometimes they're part-time, sometimes they're full-time. You may be taking classes while you're doing your internship. So the big difference between a co-op and an internship is that a co-op will always be full-time, it'll always be paid, and it's always considered professional work experience. So right now, RIT actually has one of the largest and oldest programs in the world for co-op. Right now, over 3,400 employment partners. These are located in all 50 states and even 30 different countries. So that means students don't necessarily stay in the Rochester, New York area while they're on their co-op assignment. There are many local Rochester-based employers here, but you definitely have the option to co-op in other cities across the nation. So you could go to Seattle or San Francisco, New York City, Boston, or Chicago. You could even do a co-op overseas if that's something that interests you. Most co-ops typically will last about 3 to 4 months, so typically a summer or a semester at RIT. One thing that's really important to know about co-op, and many of you might be thinking of this, you will not be charged tuition at the time you're on your paid full-time co-op experience. So you're not taking classes. Your full-time responsibility is actually that job where you're working. You're paid by your employer, but that money is yours to keep. So you're not charged tuition at that time by RIT because you're not taking classes. It's nice because you're not pulled in a bunch of different directions at once. You're able to focus solely on your co-op at that time and not have to worry about balancing things like classes. The money is yours to keep, as I mentioned, so you could put that towards your housing while you're on your co-op assignment, especially if you are in another location, or you could potentially even save it for your next year of tuition. Something that we're offering tomorrow is our career fair. We offer it twice a year. So that's actually hosted by RIT's Career Services and Cooperative Education Office. That means we're going to welcome close to 300 different employers to campus tomorrow. They're going to recruit students and interview students for potential co-op opportunities that they have open at their companies. So they're going to have in-person interviews tomorrow and get to know what an RIT student is all about right on campus. We'll share with you about our co-op schedules and a little bit more here. So co-op requirements at RIT do vary by academic program of study. Some majors require several co-ops that total about a year. These are programs typically in engineering technology, computer science, and environmental sustainability. So they're going to be 5-year programs of study. But just remember, it's really important to know that you're still only paying for the 4 years of tuition and classes, and that cost will be spread out over the 5 years. Some other majors will only require 3 to 9 months of co-op. So these are mostly completed during the summertime. And then for a small number of our programs, co-ops are optional, but they are required in about 80% of the majors at RIT. So regardless of whether your major requires co-op or not, the Career Services Office and the counselors there are going to help each student with their job search. They'll help with things like resume writing, mock interviews, and plenty of other things. So this is a look at the sample schedules on this slide. So it's a typical co-op sequence for both our 4-year and our 5-year degree programs. So as you can see, the co-ops are spread out so that students can alternate periods of time learning on campus through their classes, then applying what they've learned in a professional work setting. So in other words, the classroom learning and the co-ops then build upon each other. To mention a few other benefits of co-op, it helps you apply what you've learned in class while it's still fresh in your mind. Co-ops can also help you confirm that you have chosen the right field of study. So you may learn through your work experiences that you want to change your focus or even your major. So it's better to realize that while you're still in college instead of after you graduate. So the co-op really gives you a great chance for trial and error. Try to see what it's like to be in your field of study that you've chosen, and then adjust that path if it's maybe not what you thought it would be. Another nice thing about co-op is that you have the opportunity to network with professionals in your field. So as you might expect, it's very common for our students to get job offers from companies where they did a co-op assignment. Right now, that figure is about 60% of students getting at least one job offer from a company where they did a co-op assignment. Of course, remember, I mentioned this a couple times, but I'll say it again, you're getting paid, but you're not paying tuition. So it's nice to get a little bit of a return on your investment while you're still in school. And then, of course, it can't be ignored that you're adding to your professional resume while you're still a student, and that can really help make a big difference when it's time to start your career. So experience really makes all the difference, and the experience that you get as an RIT student pays off. We survey our seniors every year about their employment status within 6 months after graduation. I do have the data for the most recent class, that's the class of 2020. Our total outcomes rate was just about 92%. So that outcomes rate does include those who are employed, those who are pursuing graduate study, and then some who have alternative plans. So maybe the Peace Corps or Teach America or the military. So here you can see a small sample of our major employer partners, but you can view detailed career outcome information by academic program at a site called joboutlook.rit.edu. And I'm actually going to send you that link in the chat as well. That's a really great resource if you'd like to save that link and bookmark it possibly for later. Really lets you see by major where our students are going for their careers, what kind of jobs they're getting, what kind of salaries they're making, and their typical job titles. So it's a really great way to learn a little bit more by program where our students are ending up. So I did mention that we have study abroad available. So global opportunities are certainly encouraged. You could potentially spend a summer or a semester at one of our overseas campuses. So I mentioned before, those are in Croatia, Dubai, Kosovo, and China. Some students are really savvy. They'll meet a co-op requirement by working for a company abroad. Maybe they'll take a faculty-led trip with students for class credit. Or they could choose a study abroad program at a partner university, and those are offered in about 55 different countries. For students who do want to explore the option of study abroad, I would just recommend contacting our study abroad office early on and working with an advisor there to see at what point in your RIT time would it be best for you to pursue that study abroad. So I recommend talking to those advisors right away as an incoming first-year student. Going to switch gears a little bit and talk about things outside of experiential education and outside of academics. So want to share things that you can expect at RIT outside the classroom. As far as campus life, I can assure you there is plenty to do. We are not a commuter school, so it is a very residential campus community. Most students coming from outside the Rochester area or even outside of New York State. So that means that students stay on campus on the weekends, and there's really a lot to do as far as activities, different club meetings and events throughout the semester. Right now, there's over 300 active clubs. I hear about new clubs all the time. They're a little bit of everything. So you could find academic clubs that are closely related to your field of study, religious organizations, environmental clubs, multicultural clubs, social justice organizations, artistic clubs, and then of course, athletic opportunities. Usually we will host hundreds of student events on campus each year. So we have festivals, usually one each season. So in a few weeks, we will have our homecoming festival in the fall. We'll also offer Freeze Festival, as the name suggests, that takes place in February, which is of course winter in Rochester, New York. Then we also have our Spring Festival, which is typically one of our big headlining concerts. We also have a signature event that's called Imagine RIT. This is a festival celebrating innovation and creativity. It's offered every spring, and it is for family and friends and alumni to come back to campus and then see different student and faculty projects that they've been working on throughout the year. Of course, this has been virtual the past couple of years, but we are really hoping to offer this flagship event in person this upcoming spring. Greek life is available too. So there are about 29 different Greek organizations. The current percentage of our student body that participates in Greek life is about 10% of our student body involved in a sorority or fraternity. I'll share with you some information about our athletic program as well. So these are our intercollegiate teams. So we're the RIT Tigers. Our mascot is Richie, the Bengal Tiger. These are our intercollegiate teams for men and women, which are all at the Division III level. You'll see one exception on this slide. That is our Division I men and women's ice hockey program. So hockey is a big thing here, unsurprising, being in upstate New York. Hockey games are a lot of fun for our students in the wintertime. So it's a great way to see our arena be packed with our current students cheering on the RIT Tigers. We also have one of the top Division III lacrosse programs in the country. And most notably, during the pandemic last spring, our men's lacrosse team at the Division III level won the national championship. So we were very excited about that. If you are interested in playing an intercollegiate sport, I would say the first step is to fill out the athletic recruitment form, and that's going to be available on our website. You're also welcome to reach out individually to the coach of your particular sport. Feel free to email them, introduce yourself, and you can ask any questions that you may have about that athletic team. For students who don't want to participate in intercollegiate sports, we have a whole list of different club and recreational and intramural opportunities here. Over a third of our students participate in some sort of recreational activity. I would say the most popular ones here on campus are dodgeball, rugby, football, field hockey, paintball, and equestrian. A couple of unique things that we have to offer is our World Cup winning Quidditch team. Yes, Quidditch, like Harry Potter. So that's something that a lot of our students get really excited about, is our Quidditch club. We also have our own rock climbing gym on campus. That's called the Red Barn. So that's certainly something to see if you come and visit us at RIT. And then something that we're getting to be very well known for is our esports program. So if you're a student who participates in esports and you'd like to continue that at RIT, we have a very lively and active esports population, and our students have won several national championships. Moving on to performing arts, it's a great time to be a performing arts student at RIT. Although we don't have music or theater or dance or anything like that as majors, we do offer several different performing arts organizations. Right now, it's about 1,000 RIT students who are participating in performing arts groups each year. So a mix of theater and improv and dance and music ensembles here. It's good to know that we have academic minors available in music and theater if you'd like to enhance your major. You'll see here that we've got some really exciting new performance spaces that are planned for theater and dance. So the shed will be the student hall for exploration and development that is under construction right now. And it will include a makerspace as well as a black box studio and a dance studio. In addition to that, we are breaking ground shortly on a musical theater performance center, and hopefully both of these facilities will be completed in 2023. Also want to mention, we are now offering something called a Performing Arts Scholarship at RIT. So this is just an extra little scholarship that you can apply for. It's a short application. You do submit a digital audition of yourself performing along with that application. And if you are awarded this Performing Arts Scholarship, we would expect that you would then join our performing arts community at RIT. So living on campus, I mentioned a little bit earlier that we are a residential campus community. We offer a mix of residence halls, also suites and apartments. Freshmen from outside the Rochester area are required to live on campus for that first year. If you are within 30 miles of us, you are welcome to live at home and commute if you would like. So you will live in the residence halls the first year. After that point, you're welcome to live in suite style or apartment style living on or off campus. In the first year, we have something called special interest housing that you could join if you would like. So if you'd like to be around other students in our engineering house or photo house or computer science house, just for some examples there, those are some different options. We also have lifestyle floors like wellness, honors, and then gender inclusive housing is offered as well. We do have 21 different dining options at RIT. So Gracie's is our main dining hall that was just brand newly renovated over this past summer and opened up this fall. So in addition to our main dining hall, there are about 20 other places to eat here. So Nathan's Soup and Salad, the RIT Sports Zone, the Global Grill and Market. My personal favorite is Salsaritas, which is the Mexican style restaurant on campus. There's also a bunch of different coffee houses and bakeries here. Midnight Oil is a coffee shop serving Starbucks products. And then we also have Ben & Jerry's, and it's the only one within the Rochester area. So as far as facilities and resources, of course, going to school here, you are going to be living on campus. So want to make sure that you have access to things like a hair salon and post office, different fitness centers and computer labs and laundry facilities. Also good to know that we have student services such as the health center and a personal counseling office. And we also have a disability service office if anyone would like to seek out those particular services. This is a slide to share a little bit more about Rochester, New York. So Rochester is one of the larger metro areas in the state of New York. RIT is not located downtown. We're about 6 miles outside of the city itself, and we're in a suburban community called Henrietta. So quick access into downtown Rochester. Our local suburb has a lot to offer right nearby. So if you go within a mile of campus on our main road here in Henrietta, you're going to find supermarkets and different movie theaters and the mall and Target and Walmart and hotels and restaurants if your family comes to visit you. So there's really a lot to offer in our suburban community. And then in downtown, we do have several major companies that are located within Rochester and the city limits. So some of the most notable ones are Eastman Kodak, Wegmans Supermarkets, Paychex, and Xerox as well. As far as things to do within the Rochester area, there are lots of different festivals and concert venues and theater productions that you can take part in. Some other popular local attractions include Lake Ontario, which is just north of us. There's also the beautiful Finger Lakes region, which is just south of us. And then we have various ski resorts located pretty close to campus. We have some minor league athletic teams here. And then we're really a city for all 4 seasons. So we do embrace our winter. I would say fall to me is just about the most beautiful time of year to come and visit. Lots of different parks and nature trails and gorgeous foliage if you did want to make that drive up to campus. So I'm going to switch gears here and wrap up with an explanation of our admissions process at this time. So really, there's 3 ways that you can apply to RIT. So you can choose one of 3 pathways. There are some students that choose to apply to a specific major on their actual application to RIT. If the student is admitted to that program, they get to start taking classes right in that major from day 1 on campus. So if you know what you want to study, you're solid on a particular major, you can actually apply directly into that program on your application. Then there are some students who are undecided about a specific major, but maybe have a sense of what academic area best suits them. So in that case, you could apply to one of our college-based exploration options. So for example, a student who wants to do computing, but isn't sure if that's software engineering or computing security or computer science, you could apply to the computing exploration program or business or liberal arts or design, et cetera, and do this exploration program for the first year at RIT. So these 1-year programs are designed to allow some exploration in that particular academic college before you declare your major, and then you won't lose time towards your graduation from RIT, and you are prepared to choose your major by the end of that first year. Then our third option. So this is a great fit for the totally undecided student. You are welcome to apply to our university exploration option. This is a program that's designed for students who really have multiple academic areas of interest across the university. So what you'll get is an academic advisor who will help craft a fall semester schedule with you freshman year, and that will allow students to explore their potential areas of academic interest and then work with that advisor, take those exploratory classes, and then also be prepared to choose their major by the end of their freshman year. As far as our admission process, we review students for admission based on their intended major. That is a practice called differential admissions. So we practice differential admissions just because we want to make sure that you're a good fit for the program that interests you. Just as an example, what we're looking for from a science, engineering, computing, or other STEM candidate will ultimately be very different from what we look for in our art or design or liberal arts or other non-STEM candidates. So it is for that reason that we encourage you to list your top 3 academic programs on your application if you have more than one genuine interest. So in the case that we can't admit you into your first choice major, we will then review you for admission to your second choice program. And if necessary, we can move on to that third choice major if needed. So the numbers on the right, they represent the middle 50% ranges of GPAs on a 100-point scale, also SAT and ACT scores for the students who were admitted to RIT last year. So these are going to actually range significantly by college and major. So there are some programs at RIT that are more competitive and more space limited than others. So that's going to make them very academically selective. I'm actually sending another link into the chat for you all. That's just going to be a link to our school profile. This is going to say specifically by major, what our prerequisites are, the average mid-ranges of the SAT and ACT for students who chose to submit test scores, and then their average GPAs as well. So this is a really helpful link. I recommend this to anyone just because I think it's so helpful. So please feel free to save this link and bookmark it for reference later. But just so you're aware, if we have more qualified candidates for a specific major, then we have spots available in the program. We may have to start a wait list, and that's by major. So some of the most popular programs at RIT that typically will always go on a wait list and are very academically selective, those include in our College of Engineering, Biomedical, Mechanical, and Chemical. Also in our School of Computing and Information Sciences, our computer science degree, computing security, and then game design and development. Also in our health sciences school, physician assistant is another highly popular program. And in our College of Art and Design, film and animation. So again, these are some of our most popular programs that will typically always go on a wait list. It is a holistic application review process. So when we review applications as an admissions committee, regardless of the major that you're applying to, the most important factor that we consider is your overall academic record. So this is comprised of several different things, your GPA overall, your class rank, if your school happens to rank. If not, don't worry about it. A lot of schools, of course, don't. We look at things like academic trending. You know, were you a student that started off a little bit rocky but steadily improved throughout your time in high school? Did you meet the course prerequisites for the major that you're applying to? That link I just sent you is a great way to see if you're on target for the prerequisites that you need to be considered for admission. Other things we're looking at, how you have challenged yourself. So we really take into consideration the level of rigor that's offered at your particular high school. We will see a school profile that says we offer this many AP classes, or on the flip side, we don't offer AP classes at all. So we can look at what you've taken in comparison to your high school and what they offer. And then we will look at the level of rigor that you've chosen to take. So for example, honors, AP, IB, or even students who have taken dual enrollment college level courses. So we will actually give more emphasis in our admission review to courses that are related to your particular academic area of interest. So as an example, an engineering student, we're going to pay really close attention to your math and science grades, but maybe for a student that's interested in a design program, we're going to pay more attention to the art classes and humanities and liberal arts that you've taken throughout high school. We are in our second year of being test optional. So last year we did decide for fall 2021 to go SAT, ACT optional, and we are continuing that going forward. Of course, many students last year are unable to take the SAT or ACT, so we did adjust this policy to help ease students' concerns over the ability to take tests, and then we decided to go forward with that in the future as well. So if you choose to take the SAT or ACT, you are more than welcome to submit your test scores. We will consider them if you provide them. And we also do take self-reported test scores as part of your application. Let's say you took both the SAT and the ACT. We will look at them comparatively and use whichever score is higher when we evaluate you for admission. Similarly, let's say you took the SAT multiple times, we will super score both the SAT and the ACT. So we'll take your highest score from each section when we review for admission. But you do have that option again to apply test optional. So if you do not choose to submit SAT or ACT, I would just like to reassure you, you're still going to receive full admission and scholarship consideration for all programs, and your application won't be disadvantaged in any way. There is one exception. So there is an RIT SUNY Upstate Medical University Accelerated Scholars Program, which is direct entry into med school. So if you're a student interested in that program, that is where we do require the SAT or the ACT. As far as recommendation letters, so the only letter that you're required to send us is the one from your school counselor. You're welcome to submit supplemental letters, although it's not required. So feel free to have other letters sent from people who know you well, maybe an employer if you work outside of school, or a favorite teacher or a coach. All of the letters that you send will be read and considered in our admission review. I would say on average, students are typically submitting about 1 to 3 letters of recommendation. Academics, of course, are very important, but we also do want to consider the extracurricular activities that you are involved in. We look at both inside and outside of school. We definitely want to know about things like your involvement in community service activities, citizenship examples, leadership examples. So if you were the captain of a team or the president of a club, performing arts, athletics, any kind of honors that you have received or awards that you have won. Typically, you'll list these different activities on your application, but it's also important to let us know, maybe if you've not been able to participate in as many extracurriculars, maybe due to COVID last year, or because you need to work or help out at home, or take care of siblings. So that is all equally important for us to know as well. We do require an essay as part of our review process. This is really your opportunity to have full control over one part of the application process. You get this chance to go beyond the transcript and test scores and really share with us your personal story. And then any student who is interested in applying to a program within our College of Art and Design must submit an art portfolio for consideration. Going back to that chat box, and I will go ahead and send you a link to our portfolio requirements. So please make sure you pay attention to that if you are looking at art, design, or film and animation degrees at RIT. The portfolio really will be just as important as the academics for these particular programs. And I want to talk about our decision plans as well. So when you're applying to RIT, you can choose either early decision 1, early decision 2, or regular decision. So of course, you're probably wondering, well, what's the difference between early decision 1 and early decision 2? So really, it's just the timing. If you are a student who has selected RIT as your top choice school, and you know that early on before November 1st of senior year, you can choose to apply early decision 1. Then there are some students that maybe find out about us a little bit later or want some more time to research us or visit campus. So at that point, you could apply, if we end up being your first choice school, for early decision 2 by January 1st. If we are your top choice school, I highly recommend applying under one of the early decision plans, especially if you are applying to one of those competitive majors that I had mentioned earlier. Early decision at RIT is considered binding, unlike the non-binding early action program, which is offered at some other colleges, and RIT does not currently offer early action. A couple benefits of early decision. Of course, you're going to find out everything sooner, which really helps. You'll receive your admission information, financial aid, and scholarship notification sooner. There is also a slightly higher acceptance rate through early decision. So even though early decision is considered binding, you can be released from the binding nature of this agreement if we don't accept you to your top choice program, or if we just offer you admission to a second or third choice program. Then we can also let you out of the early decision agreement if you determine that our scholarship or financial aid offer will not ultimately be affordable for your family. If you want to keep your options open, there is always regular decision. So that will be a January 15th deadline, and that's during senior year, and that is not binding. So that's just your way to apply without, with just being able to keep your options open. So I want to wrap up with some information about financial aid and scholarships. Of course, going to college means paying for college. So you will get a dedicated financial aid and scholarships counselor that will work with you throughout your time at RIT. So there are 2 options for applying for assistance. So one is going to be need-based aid. So you actually have to apply for aid based on the FAFSA. So that's the free application for federal student aid. So that's to be considered for things like loans, grants, work study, and other forms of need-based aid if your family qualifies based on need. So you do have to apply for financial aid using that FAFSA. Actually, merit-based scholarships you don't need to apply for. So those are going to be automatic review. If you qualify for an RIT scholarship, we will let you know shortly after you are accepted to RIT, and that amount that you're offered will be renewable for every year that you're on campus taking classes for up to 4 years. So scholarships are renewable just as long as you maintain good academic standing. There are a few other scholarships that you do need to apply for separately. Earlier, I mentioned our Supplemental Performing Arts Scholarship. Also, ROTC, First Robotics, and Project Lead the Way will offer scholarships where you can apply. But ultimately, affordability is important to us. We really want you to know that we're happy to work with you individually if you have questions, and you're always welcome to let our financial aid and scholarships team know if you have any kind of financial concerns. This is my last slide, so I'd like to thank you for your attention and just share some opportunities to connect in the future, both virtually and in person. We are, in person offering campus tours and in-person open houses right on campus, which we haven't really been able to do quite as much as the pandemic has been going on. So we will be happy to welcome people to campus. Feel free to register for any of our upcoming visit dates. I wanted to mention virtual opportunities as well. So we offer student-led virtual campus tours. about 3 days a week. So you can register for that. It's live students there to answer your questions and give a narrated video tour of campus. So that's a great way to see a little bit about the school and chat with our current student ambassadors before you make the trip up to Rochester. We're also offering this week, actually, and then again, the last week of October, we'll have some virtual open house sessions for academics. So I'm going to share another couple of links in the chat as well that direct you to our visits and events. But the academic open houses will actually share a little bit more about the academic majors that you might be most interested in. And then we have a whole selection of programs called Beyond Academics that we're offering virtually. And these are going to talk about areas like study abroad, housing, student life, diversity and inclusion, and other topics. So definitely register for some Beyond Academics programs as well. And then the last thing I want to mention, interviews are not required for admission. We do offer them virtually, and in some select cities, we'll offer interviews this fall for high school seniors. So if we happen to be coming to an area near you, you will get an email if you're on our mailing list about those potential opportunities to interview with us for about 30 minutes. If it doesn't work out for you to meet with us in person, we certainly welcome the chance to connect with you virtually. And there are one-on-one admissions appointments offered Monday through Friday as well. And lastly, this is my contact information, and I will send my email in the chat for you all as well. I mentioned that I am the designated admissions counselor who travels to DC, Maryland, Virginia, and Manhattan, but I am happy to work with you regardless of where you're from, happy to connect with you in the future, and I really thank you for spending your time with me tonight. So thank you so much. I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen and then send it right back to Nashira to wrap up.
Thank you so much. So thank you, Mariah from Rochester Institute of Technology. I'm sorry. And thank you for joining us. When you close this window, there will be a link to a very quick 5-question survey. We'd appreciate any feedback that you can provide. We encourage you to check back to the schedule and sign up for more sessions. And you'll be able to find this session's recording as well as any other session recording at strivescan.com/CACHET. Thank you so much and have a great evening.
Thank you.